Now, Republicans seem to not like the idea of canceling student loan debt. And I don't mean Republican voters. I actually do mean Republican politicians like Betsy DeVos. So now, what's funny is that there's a lot of Democrats that are putting out plans in order to tackle student loan debt. For example, you've got Elizabeth Warren saying she'd cancel up to about $50,000 worth of student loan debt for certain families. And then, of course, Bernie Sanders that says cancel it all, burn it all down, right? Well, obviously, I support that policy. But then you also have people like Rand Paul, who announced his own student loan debt cancellation plan. Actually, no, it's not an actual debt cancellation plan. He wants you to be able to take from your retirement, your 401k, and pay your student loans with that. So borrow against your own retirement to pay off your student loans. What if you don't have an 401k or an IRA? Sad to be you. That sucks. But okay. Anyway, so now Betsy DeVos is proposing new rules. No, not new rules. Sorry. A new federal bureau, right? Federal standalone government corporation. Okay. And she wants to take the nation's $1.5 trillion worth of student loan debt and transfer it over to that standalone corporation. So DeVos's proposal, which has not been developed yet, so we don't really know a whole lot of the details about it, but basically she would spin off the Education Department's Federal Student Aid Office into a new independent federal agency. And so, ironically, creating more government. Okay. All right. Fun times. So now that would make it, of course, more difficult, if not impossible, for a Democratic president to go and cancel that student loan debt. So that would be kind of a bad thing for people who owe the $1.5 trillion in outstanding student loan debt that is basically weighing down an entire generation. But hey, it's a great thing for Betsy DeVos. She loves it. Remember, Betsy DeVos works for these student loan companies, right? The ones that actually collect the student loans on behalf of the government. And she has been illegally collecting money from students for defunct defunct for-profit colleges. In fact, she had just been held in contempt of court for collecting on 45,000 student loan payments for 45,000 borrowers. And so the reason, of course, she did that is that the DeVos family is very invested in student loans. They make a ton of money. In fact, I'm going to go to a tweet here from Ryan Grimm from The Intercept. He said, this very much appears to be a Betsy DeVos scheme to block the next president from unilaterally forgiving federal student loan debt, which she is well aware a president could do without Congress. So, look, if President Trump, for example, and that'd be great. If he decided to cancel student loan debt, well, I would give a ton of credit to President Trump. And I think a lot of us progressives would, because that is the correct policy, because that is holding back the economy. So a president could do that. Betsy DeVos is trying to make sure in true Republican fashion, because here's the thing. Republicans always try to curb executive power when they're voted out of power. We've seen it in numerous state legislatures when Republicans lose their elections, they make sure to strip power from Democrats as soon as they get into office. And so this is one way to attempt to do that. And so now in response to DeVos, and she tweeted this out, by the way, one has to wonder, why isn't federal student aid a standalone government corporation run by a professional, expert, and apolitical board of governors? A separate federal student aid would be better positioned to deliver world-class service to students and their families as they finance higher education. Service, right? Education should not be a for-profit service. But this is the way that she looks at it, is this is something that we can monetize. This is something that we can make profit from. Well, that's not the way that it should be. And by the way, world class, right? This is not what the world does with education. You go to other industrialized countries, and they heavily subsidized education so that either people do not have to take out student loans or pay tuition, or their tuition actually is very low compared to our own. And so now I want to give you Bernie Sanders' response to this tweet, by the way. And he simply says, quote, "No, this isn't it, Ms. DeVos. Cancel all student debt." I love Spicy Bernie. Spicy Bernie is the best Bernie. And by the way, Brianna Joy Gray joined in on that conversation. And she said, "Normally the rich are moderately more subtle about rigging the system in their favor. They're scared. We're ready." Well, then they should be scared. Bernie Sanders will not only beat Donald Trump, but will also go after these for-profit, not only for-profit schools, but again, cancel all student loan debt and make education free at the point of service. Just like you would, of course, just like we had with public schools. And that, of course, it benefits, like I said, everyone. Because you can't, of course, if you cancel a student debt, you make all college free, right? Just like they did with public school, then guess what? Everyone has access to this, whether or not, they want to have access to it. And I do believe that they should add in trade schools to this as well, because trade schools are also very important. And so the reason, of course, for making it free and limiting the student loan debt is, first of all, you're going to make it better for the economy. No longer will people have to pay so much of their income in servicing the student loan debt, but also they'll be able to contribute to the economy at large. And again, making this free allows people to be able to get an education without going into debt, and be able to go and get these good careers, create jobs, and help the economy as well. And everyone would be able to do so. And so, look, this attempt to stop Bernie Sanders, I mean, or anybody else who has the idea of student loan cancellation, by doing this, private, independent, whatever, government entity. Ironic in a couple of ways, because it, as I said before, creates more government and prevents somebody from actually doing something positive. And so, disaster. Let's hope that she's not successful. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent, progressive media.